Well, welcome back into, doesn't look like a mid-Norfolk garden, does it? Because this is our barn project and this wall's coming out. In fact, it's almost out, and this week the remainder of this brick wall, which was the side window supporting wall on the back end of the cottage, with this most wonderful Gertrude Jekyll rose, which luckily we cut right back down to the ground, knowing the builders were going to take this wall out. But I have been a bit neglectful, and now I've got a real job on trying to get this out, because I've also got scaffolding support very close to it. So what I would normally recommend, which is digging well around this rose to get it out, is not going to be physically possible. I've got to somehow manage to get as much root out as I possibly can without reducing the stability of these supports, which is a problem. Really should have got this out well in advance, knowing that this work was going to undertake. But if I leave it here, we're going to lose this rose. It can't stay here because this whole wall's coming out, and it's going to be a French door coming out of the aspect of the barn here, with a large step built on this aspect where the rose is currently sitting, that you're going to walk out of the barn onto before emerging into the garden. So first things, I'm going to try and remove as much of the rubble around the surface so I'm down to at least soil, and then I'm going to try and get a spade on either side of this. I can't dig forward because of that support, and I don't want to dig too far down behind it either, because I don't want that support on that wooden block, which is quite small, falling down into it. So let's clear the rubble first and see how we get on. Well, that's actually cleared out a little easier than I thought. There is a lot of building rubble underneath the gravel here, but I've managed to get a spade right the way down, and I'm just going to work that as far down as I can. I'm not going to worry too much about the rubble that's sitting in the crown of the rose. That'll all come out when she moves. But I'm just now going to work my spade either side to try and get as much depth as I can, going almost straight down vertically. I'm making the assumption that most of these roots go down pretty deep. I'm just going to have to break my way through those, because the access here is absolutely terrible. Gonna have to put the camera down and just work away either side of this till I get the crown loose. Well, here we go. She's just starting to loosen up now. I've got a bit of play in the actual crown. There's quite a tangle of roots down here, which I think probably formed when it was in a pot. It was probably well potted and overgrown in the pot when it was planted out. And that's actually helping me here, because there's quite a bit of root still in there. So I'm just going to see if I can get through the last bit of tap going down the base and see what root we're going to be able to lift out of this. And there she comes after a bit of a struggle. I've got my crown, the remnants of what would have been the original roots in the pot that I've had to cut all the way through. Now this isn't ideal, but it is the right time of year to do this. I'm going to tidy up around the top and remove any more damaged, diseased and crossover wood. But I have got quite a few little fibrous roots around here, which are going to give this rose a chance to get going. So the next thing to do is to get this potted up and well watered. Don't want any of these roots to dry out and wither. So I'm going to take it right round the back and we'll get it potted up straight away. Now, when you're potting up a rose crown like this, there's no point trying to squeeze it into a small pot. You've got to find something substantial and big enough so that you can get every bit of that root completely covered and the crown sitting just below the surface of the compost, or just above the surface, sorry, but all those roots covered. So I need a good depth of compost and some good drainage in the pot. So this huge great thing that I think a small shrub or tree came in is ideal, and I'm going to put about 4 or 5 inches of compost in the base, and then we'll start sitting the rose in and then feeding the rest of the compost around it. I've got about 4 or 5 inches in the base now. Let me just see where that sits. Yep, that's just about going to be right. Now I'm going to hold it upright and feed more compost in around the sides so that all these roots are covered. So here we are with my compost worked around it. I haven't firmed it down yet, and I've got a feeling this is going to sink quite a way. You want to keep it from rocking around in the pot. So really push it down. If you've got enough space to get a boot in, do so. And then I'm going to trim all these damaged stems back to a healthy looking bud, and then give it a really good water, and then put it somewhere on a north facing wall where it's not going to get too much thermal load or warmth for a while. You really want to let those roots settle in and get established before this starts into growth in around March. And I think I've got a chance of saving this, which is the most spectacular climbing rose. So we'll see how we go with this. I'm going to put a link in the video description, and in the end card takes you through to how this rose flowers and what a beauty it was in the position where we had it. Thanks for watching.